When would you like me to do this? Right. Yeah, so I'm Richard from the Avenue Cookery School. Yeah, we teach all sorts of people, all ranges, how to cook. So today I've been cooking dishes from the employees of Galliard Homes, and yeah, I've been showing you guys hopefully how you can easily cook this at home and make amazing dishes. Today we're going to be doing an apple cake. We're going to be caramelizing some apples with some cinnamon and some sugar, and then we're going to be putting that straight on top of a lovely base cake with an almond in there. So there's some ground almonds. It basically makes it lovely and moist, and then you've got that lovely topping. And then cut that up and we're going to serve it with some yogurt. So, for the apple cake, let's start dealing with our apples. So what we're going to do is we're going to core these. Let's get all of this peeled up. So we're going to cut them in quarters first. Once they're cut in quarters, we are then going to basically be fanning them out. Do everything in stages, yeah? Don't chop up one apple, peel it. Well, peel it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these things down, cut out the cores. So how to use a paring knife, make sure that you're always using the same weight in the same hand. So never push your right hand towards your left. What you do is you get your left hand and you squeeze, and then you use your other thumb. And basically each time I'm always using the weight in this hand. If you guys use this hand, that's when slips occur. So you push with your hand, you get it in, push with your other hand, twist up, bottom it comes out. Each one of these we're going to be cutting into 3 so that they're quite a wide slice. I'm now going to get my pan up. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my sugar and the cinnamon, mix it all up together. Guys, you need a high heat with this, basically due to the fact that these are Bramley apples and cooking apples. If you cook them, they go into mush. So they need to be in a high heat pan. If they're not, they just cook and then they're going to go all basically soft, and then you're going to be putting like over an apple puree. So now I'm going to be adding in my apples, and then I'm going to start sauteing them. So saute means to jump or to bounce in French. So all you're basically doing is just kind of tossing them over, getting them so that they're all covered in that lovely cinnamon sugar. Let it sizzle up a bit. If you guys keep stirring it, you're not allowing the caramelization to occur, because when it flips over, the moisture then starts seeping out of it. Caramelization occurs by when water evaporates, and then obviously high sugar concentration, which then goes lovely and golden. Grease and line a 20cm cake tin and line it with some greaseproof paper. To line my tin, what I've done is I rubbed it with some butter. Now this is just an optional extra, and then I quite like having a crunchy coating, so this is some granulated sugar. So I'm going to sprinkle the sugar in there, and then all you do is you turn the tray, move it around. We're now going to start with the actual base of the cake. So I've got 125 grams of sugar, I've got 150 grams of butter. Now it does say 175 grams in the recipe, however, remember there's 25 grams of it that is going to be added with the apples, so when you saute them. We're going to start creaming the butter and the sugar, beating it all up till it's either light and fluffy if you guys want it to be a fluffier cake, or you can mix it a little bit slower and that will make it slightly denser. The more you whip it, the more air that's going to get inside. When you heat up air inside an oven, it's going to expand, and then that way the cake's going to rise more. This is an apple cake, so I personally wouldn't want to make it as fluffy as I possibly could. Put your arm around the bowl, bring it in close to you, so that way it's not going to fly all over the place, and then make sure you're pointing the electric beater straight down. So we're going to start beating this up, and what we're looking for is for it to be fully combined. That we're going to crack an egg in. Now make sure you tuck all the edges down. Now I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of the almond. And you got that lovely smell of almond now. We're now going to be adding the flour and the ground almonds. When you add flour to a cake mix, if you over mix that, what happens is you form gluten. Now gluten is basically 2 proteins, one called gluten and one called gliadin. If you over mix this, that forms gluten, and that basically makes it a dense cake, which you don't want to do. When you're adding this in, there's the bake-off way where you can add it third by third by third. You could do it like that. However, I try and make cakes quickly. Yeah, at the cookery school, we try and speed things up. So what we're going to do is going to whack this straight in and beat it up, and then leave a little bit of flour around the edges, and then use the spatula to fold the last bit in. Just get the electric beater and just mix it up just to the point where it's like 3/4 mixed. As soon as I've still got a little bit of flour in there, I'm then going to be using my spatula. So as you can see, there's flour around the edges. I'm now going to treat that like I've just been folding it all together and fold that last bit in. But remember, don't over mix this. You get all of the batter out. Don't be that person that leaves half of it in the bowl. What I'm going to do, start giving it a little bit of a knockdown, make sure it's nice and flat. You're going to have some apples that are caramelized. You're going to have some apples that are generally a little bit mushy. So the mushy ones you want to have facing on the base, and then you want the best looking apples just on top. So guys, now I'm going to whack this in the oven, preheated 140 degrees, whack it in 45 minutes to 50. Make sure you got it right in the center of the oven and with the fan just behind. Now we're going to bake this for about 45 to 50 minutes. Cool for a bit before you start serving it, but cool it in the tin. If you leave it in the tin, you're going to keep that beautiful moisture inside, whereas if you take it out the tin, you'll find that it will start drying out. Very good for a Victoria sponge, but not what we're looking for in this recipe. Right, so we're just gonna start cutting up the apple cake. So, gonna get a nice fat slice, because it's good for you. God, I love all this stuff. Look at that. Serve that. And a spoonful of Greek yogurt. It's got a decent sized bit of apple as well. And that's banging.